Y'all know what it is right here. This is that Boom Bap Breakfast. This is the Remix Morning Show right here on Black Power Media. And thank y'all for tuning in. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Let me introduce you to your host. We got no other than Dr. Jared Ball. Burn it down, Kim Brown. And Kamal K. Franklin.
You see how that green screen effect works? That is fly right there.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, let's unmute Kamal.
If we must.
I was complimenting the background. I was like, I wish I had that house.
Me too.
Where are you, Jared? You were in the
I'm in
Rolling
my green
Hills?
screen. I'm in my green screen. The only problem with this house is if you look carefully, you see this other thing, right? This other house is too close.
Yeah.
It's too close. But other than that, I was like, that's what I'm saying.
Getting that Sean King money. I see you.
And somebody else is on
Sean King money, Sean King green screen money. Because somebody did put in a comment without, and I did kind of read it as they meant it. Like somebody really thought I was living in these backgrounds. And I'm like, nah, it's $14.99 for a green screen that is literally pinned to my white wall. Everybody
that actually works. It's supposed to be fake ones that don't work. Like you move and it gets all blurred out. This one is fantastic.
But why did we go for the green screen background, Jared? I liked your background. You had your records up. You had your books. I mean, what was the issue?
Let me answer that for you, Kim. For Jack. So it was good when he left it the way it was. Then he started moving things around. Then he had that awkward side look. So you had to do something about that. That's just what we in the chat. Sorry, go ahead.
In the chat.
There was some necessary rearrangements that had to occur, and then just some feng shui. And I wanted to be able to do a couple of other things and have some fun. And in particular, to be honest, I also wanted to be able to do those Black film pitch meetings. I think I do enjoy them. I think that I'm going to keep doing them, and I needed the green screen effect capability. So anyway,
that first one was hilarious.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna keep working with it. I think they're funny, and somebody, I'm gonna deal with this too, because somebody was critical of saying, but somebody else is doing it. You need to come up with your own style. And I was like, I don't think people get parody. And the original pitch meeting dude doesn't do what I'm doing. So there's so many obvious differences, but it's just some fun, man. I'm like, it's like 5 minutes, I'm clearly not going to be putting a dent in their millions of views. So everybody, like chill, relax. You know what I mean?
And it's fun to be different places, even if you don't come outside. You know what I'm saying? Look like you outside.
There it is. Well, yeah, exactly. The ability to
wish he was on the moon. Yeah, that'd be good.
With that said, I'm out. Bang zoom to the moon.
That's messed up. That's messed up.
Good morning,
gentlemen.
What's
up, good people? Yeah, what's going on? How you all doing?
Doing all right.
You're doing good? You look fantastic. I love the background. I always love when the light in your background, like the red light special thing, be like popping on and on. Like,
okay.
No, that's what it looks like. It's a little beeping red light thing. It's like to let it's either let folks know that they can come in or let folks know to stay away. Kind of one of those, it's like a bat signal kind of shit.
Let's keep digging this hole, Kamal. Let's go. Let's go in.
I do want to I got the new.
Oh, that is a good one.
By the way, got the new one. I got a couple new ones. You know what I mean?
That is a really good. Is it basically that's a sweatshirt?
The sweatshirt, and then I got the long sleeve. I got a couple, because it's getting cold now. So I got got a hoodie on the way.
I said I should order our own shit. That looks really good.
When is Kamal gonna ever buy any?
Yeah, what are you talking about? I got a mug, son.
I got a mug.
Nice
and
mug.
Quietly, Kamal had the first. What is the official title for the microphone raps that promote your channel?
Oh, I don't know, but yes,
I'm sure there's a professional.
Mic flag.
Is that what it is? A mic flag? Yeah.
And I gave it to the ear doctor and haven't seen it since.
He tried to give it. He tried to deliver it up here, but I wasn't able to make it out to go get it.
It's kind of like my relationship to ear doctor. I give and then things disappear. I keep being told that there's things that are needed, and it's like, here you go, ear doctor. And it's like never to be saw again, never to be seen again. Never.
I think your doctor's about to make another appearance.
You know it's true. That's why he's not popping back on.
You need to give that Colt Seaver shirt to somebody looking like the $6 billion man.
Oh wow!
I like my shirt. It's kind of like an army thing. Sure, you'd be jealous, jealous.
Looks nice.
Like
looks very nice.
More here than you do. That's all.
Man, the $6 million man was for a brief time very important to my childhood, man. Like we would be outside making that noise and all that stuff, like all that. Like,
was Lee Majors the actor, or was Lee Majors the character name, or was that a whole different show altogether?
No, Lee Majors was the actor, and he was married to Farrah Fawcett for a little while.
What was the show that had Heather Locklear in it? Y'all don't remember.
What was she in?
She was in one of them shows with the
Dallas or was it one Dynasty or some shit? No,
it's something similar to the $6 Million Man, but I can't think of it because I think it used to come on the same night as the A-Team. So, like,
Amadi, I'm trying to stop snitching. I'm trying to go with the green screen scenario. Stop snitching.
It wasn't Buck Rogers. It was A-Team came on at 8:00, and then The Fall Guy. Boom.
The Fall Guy.
Who's in The Fall Guy besides her?
I thought it was Lee Majors, but maybe I don't know who Lee Majors is.
Yeah, that's him. That's him. That was later in his career. He came back into that. That was like his reboot or one of his reboots. Was with. I wasn't watching that one so much, but I remember that. But that was him. Lee Majors. Yeah. If that's the if that I never was clear if that was his real name or his actor or the character's name either. But yeah.
It was a quality theme song, by the way, of The Fall Guy. They had a good quality intro.
I'm sure it was about cops, but what was it about?
I don't think it was about cops. I think he was just some vigilante white man, on assignments.
Wasn't The Fall Guy a reference to him being a stunt man? I think that was the backdrop was that he was a stunt man, and then he would go off and have these adventures. I think
solve crimes on the side.
That was Heather Locklear's big break.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I thought she was in something else. So because obviously her name is so familiar with the 80s and shit.
She did later come. She was in a number of other things, but she was always in. For me, she was always in that you all are doing too much and trying too hard to make me think she's pretty category.
Okay, that's fair.
No, I think that's true. I think that's right.
So I always reacted to her kind of like.
That was the majority of those white beauty standard bearers, so to speak, of the 70s and 80s. This is like, okay, Heather Locklear is cute, but she's not fucking with Jane Kennedy. You know what I'm saying? Like
T.J. Hooker. She was in T.J. Hooker too. But nobody was fucking with Jane Kennedy.
I was going to say Jane Kennedy, like, good God.
Yeah.
Most was even shouting her out in the ad libs and Miss.
Yeah. 40 years later, she still gets shouted. Yeah.
Jane Kennedy, go God. I was like, oh.
That was an eye-popping moment as a young man to see that woman on TV every Sunday at the football things. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
That's why a lot of us got into sports.
Or
watch the pregame show. That's why some of us watch the pregame show. Otherwise, I didn't care. It's like, where's the game? I was like, pregame for Jake Kennedy?
But I was always, it's funny though, because it was like, it is the way I've discovered that I later discovered that I was in early rebellion against the dominant narrative is that I always would prefer the main girl's sidekick in major movies. The ones that were supposed to be seen as less attractive. I always thought that friend was better than the one they were trying to tell me was the, you know what I mean? Because she was always a little different, maybe a little thicker, maybe like she had something like that wasn't supposed to be the right thing at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was always like, why she should be the one.
She's a more interesting looking person.
Anyway.
I was going to say though, Jane Kennedy married down though. Let's just get that out the way.
A lot of beautiful women do marry down.
Most women marry down.
Most women do marry down. It's not an upside to having a husband. I see the upside to having a wife. The upside to a husband is
Look at
Debatable.
y'all two.
No, I acknowledge. I
Oh, yeah.
am quick to acknowledge my wife married down. She is
Yeah.
short, so she has to look up, but she definitely married down.
I'm sure she
Yeah.
loves to hear that coming from her husband.
She don't need
Like, you
to.
know.
She'll if she ever thinks I've forgotten, she'll let me know. Like I married. Oh
Ooh,
God.
who's that? That's Heather Locklear. Oh wow.
What? Y'all all right?
Whoa, yeah. Ooh.
Okay, but
Wow.
she's got to be every bit of in her 60s. I'm sorry. Like, what?
There's no
What?
excuse for falling off, Kim.
I know for women. I know women have to be fucking stunting to the grave.
Exactly. I understand.
Lest
got
we fall
Pregnancies,
over.
car accidents, age. I don't care.
She's got
Surgery,
options.
illness.
There's plenty of plastic surgery out there for her. There's plenty of hair dye. I don't understand what's happening with her. She's
Go
totally
on one of them retreats, cleansing retreats.
She deserves to be pillared. How dare she? Pillared.
Oh man.
Do you see why I objectify men the way I do? I intentionally try to make men uncomfortable by objectifying their bodies and their looks, because this is what women experience from girlhood to elderly womanness.
Somebody said spoiled mayonnaise.
Oh damn.
Leave people alone. Heather Locklear was minding her business this morning. You know what I'm saying? Heather Locklear had her a wheat germ shake, and all of a sudden she's being dissected on Black Power Media.
I thought she was
on a
dead
Wednesday.
already. You know what I'm saying?
The coldest one I remember hearing is that somebody made a joke about somebody's older white wife by referring to her as a laundry bag. And I laughed uncontrollably for a good 10 minutes straight. I was like, that is the coldest. I said a laundry bag. I said, damn. Oh man, that's messed up, man. That's messed up.
Let's pull it together.
Love is blind, people. Come on now.
True.
We can do better than
Well,
that. We're better than that.
I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means.
This is my lane, exactly. This is where I belong. I'm not.
Kamau just got comfortable. He put his feet up.
Now it's a good
He's
show.
stretching out.
Who else can we talk shit about right now?
Oh man.
Yeah, we're gonna do about your man Diallo, B. Oof.
My man Diallo on Friday.
Yeah, on Friday. It was again. It was must watch. I mix what I like. But I like, yo, my man going in hard against the guests.
Diallo is he went. I don't know what to say, man.
Diallo was going in on the guests. I gotta watch
It was
this.
a conversation. Go ahead, Jad. I'm sorry.
No, it was just you're right. I mean, he was, and I know we got ear doctor coming up, but just the short of it was that the in all due respect, the brother is sharp. I just think he just like Diallo said, he reminds us of when we were younger, and there were just some gaps in his analysis. And Diallo was a little less, fatherly or unclely in his delivery. He was more like, the fuck you talking about, Willis? You know what I mean? It was a little bit direct, but Diallo, he's a headline grabber, and sometimes it's, I struggle with it myself, so I can't, I don't know what to do. What can I say? He likes to go for that headline, Anyway,
no, I don't want him to stop. Don't get me wrong. I would, but I do think, as an organizer, and let me just say, any critique, I think he was being a little bit too much intellectualism. I need to be right, as opposed as an organizer. How do you building that the bonds for folks to work together, as opposed to being like, he basically was a conversation about Islam, or whether or not any religion, anybody should hold any religious views, and his views as an atheist or whatever, and how religion has been used, or blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. So one of those conversations. But I'm like, you know what? You're not. It's at the end of the day, you could be right and wrong at the same time. You could be right in a sort of intellectual way potentially, but you could also be wrong because no one's going to work with you. Or that if you,
that's why I was trying to reference Kwame Ture, and even that didn't work. You know what I mean? I was like, sometimes you just got to put your hands up and say, I can't. If because you're right. That's what I'm saying. The point isn't it's like, speaking of marrying down, and then we can move on. But my wife says all the time, would you rather be right or would you rather be married?
Be happy. Oh, married. Damn. Jeez Louise.
So the same thing. Would you rather be right? Would you rather be organized and moving in a, and sometimes you gotta,
I really like your wife. I like the escalation. I like that. I thought you was going to say you want to be right or you want to be happy. She said, do you want to be right or you want to be married? Like, do you want this thing to continue or you want to be by your damn self and right?
They do pull that thread out. They do pull that thread out. I've had that, I think, twice this year alone.
I'm telling you, if Kamal's wife and Jared's wife were to write a book about relationships and how to train your in, I would buy that shit. Like I would buy it. I would buy it. Digital copy, hardcover. I would buy it. I would buy it because I'm very interested. I'm very interested because your wives have got y'all out here presented correctly. And I respect that. I respect it because I know that took work. You say, I know y'all did not appear like this. You know what I'm saying? I know someone has been working with you over these past decades, and it's obvious. And I respect that. I really do.
No compliment I get goes without credit going to her. She will grab it, snatch it out the air like Willie Mays catching fly ball. Got it.
The second edition of Myth of Black Vampire. Yup, I told that. Yep. I told him to get in there and start writing.
And for her, it's even, I literally saved his life by making him go to the hospital when his appendix were about to burst. And then the doctor actually confirmed that and fully her head went. And I said, please don't tell her. Please don't say that.
And for mine, it's like by feeding me vegetables. She said, like, what are these things again?
So anything we do, they get credit for because he wouldn't even be here.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway.
That is right. The women deserve the credit. Your mothers first because they born you, and then your wives because they saved you. Yes.
That's true. True. Speaking of somebody who can't be saved.
Don't save him. He don't want to be.
I was going to do you better than that here, doctor. But
he gets some good ones off sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it seems like y'all married to the gooch, man. The visible bullies. We never see them, but they bully y'all.
Lucky I'm blurry. But watch your back.
She gonna come in.
I don't even know what a
what do you say?
I must have missed that cartoon or some shit.
Let's go ahead and take a quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Good morning, everyone. Where else y'all gonna have a great time like this except for the Remix Morning Show? Laugh, learn something, get some news, get some education and all that. Right here. I got you. Yo, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe button if you haven't already. And go ahead to patreon.com and drop some change because there's some people out there that don't want us to come up. They don't want to see us win. So with y'all help, we're gonna win. We got a documentary coming out about Cuba. We're gonna have something coming out for y'all so y'all can see what's going on. But yeah, that also, we raising funds for that. So please continue to support and help us out with that. Now, who am I going to talk about today? I'm going to give a spotlight. Yesterday I talked about Arthur Ashe, but I was like, you know what? Let me dig a little deeper and see what else I can find. And who did I find? No other than Aletha Gibson. That's right, Aletha Gibson. She is an American tennis player and professional golfer and one of the first Black athletes to cross the color line of international tennis. In 1956, she began the first African-American to win the Grand Slam title, the French Championships. The following year, she won both Wimbledon and the U.S. Nationals. Then won both again in 1958 and was voted Female Athlete of the Year by the Associated Press in both years. In all, she won 11 Grand Slam tournaments, 5 single titles, 5 double titles, and 1 mixed double title, and 56 career titles. She is introduced into the International Tennis Hall of Fame and the International Women's Sports Hall of Fame. She's one of the greatest players who ever lived. And I know a lot of y'all don't know about her, but she's like Jackie Robinson. She's often compared to Jackie Robinson because of all the bull she dealt with dealing with race. So let's not sleep. especially when we talking about who was like some of the first to cross and do one sport and do another. Yo, she was a professional in both in a time when they hated her. Man, you talking about resilience. This sister right here, you better ask about her. All right, that is your history report on no other than Athea Gibson. Now, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning Show. Yo, 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 yo.
I'm pretty sure.
Y'all laughing a little too hard back there. What's going on?
It's definitely Althea. It's definitely Althea. Althea. Wait, what you call that woman? What you call her name?
What's the matter with y'all? Y'all better get that earwax out y'all ear. Althea. I can't.
I don't think that's the first. I don't think that's what you said at first.
Aletha, he said, right? He said Aletha.
He definitely said Aletha. Yes.
Aletha. He said
He definitely said
You
Aletha.
run it back later, ear doctor. You gonna
play the tape. Play the tape.
Yeah, play the tape, bro.
Everybody heard it. Everybody heard it.
But yo,
it was like you farted or something on air.
Ricky even said twice.
I don't be reading what they got to say. They don't know that by now. Hey, but
I'm gonna do a bio on somebody and then not even get close with the name. What do you mean you're not reading what they say? It's her bio.
No, he's talking about the chat.
I'm talking about the chat room.
Oh yeah. Oh my bad. Still, are you not gonna read her name correctly when you're doing her bio?
Listen, that's why I got y'all here. Y'all the educated ones. I'm the music man. Come on.
Morris Brown, ladies.
I'm so glad that he went to Morris Brown.
But anyway, yo, for real, man, that's wild that she was one of the first like Deion Sanders to cross sports and play different sports.
Deion Sanders. Oh, you talking about two sports? Oh, okay. I was like Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
I guess more like a Paul Robeson. Didn't Paul Robeson play
Paul
more
Robeson? Yeah. No doubt. But
no, Althea. Yeah, Althea is a OG, big time OG. And again, when was she active? Your doctor was that 60s, 70s?
60s, 50s, I think, not 70s.
Yeah, the 60s. Yeah, early 60s. She became the first black player to compete in the women's professional golf tour.
Yeah. So, I mean, we know how much goofy stuff Serena and Venus went through, right? In the aughts. So imagine what Althea was dealing with in the 60s.
How about on a golf course? You know, there wasn't none of us out there on the golf course.
There was a documentary about Joe Louis back in the day. After he finished playing baseball, he actually was good enough to become a professional golfer, but because so many of the courts and the golf greens were segregated, he encountered Joe Louis. Yeah, Joe Louis.
You say baseball? You mean boxing?
Boxing. Did I say baseball?
Oh, you said baseball. I thought.
I'm sorry.
Court, not court.
What?
Huh?
It's
she
the what?
Ear doctored for a moment. That's all.
Oh, sorry. That's a court. Greens, the golf greens, regardless, the golf course.
I got you.
So anyway, so one time when he was golfing, this is in a documentary about Joe Louis. Somebody had defecated in the actual golf hole in the putting green as a present for him. So anyway, and that was Joe Louis. You know what I'm saying? So I can only imagine what Althea Gibson went through as a black woman walking in those spaces.
Exactly. Yeah. That's your spotlight for the day. I'll catch you on the next break. Peace.
Thank you, doctor. Yeah. Appreciate that. What's ma?
Oh, you know, Aletha.
What's that?
I thought he was going to do a sports segment on Mbappe saying he wants to leave PSG. Just shaking up the whole sports world. It's crazy.
Slap them out. Slap them out. Hurry up and slap them out.
So just real quick, I see you, Obi. Just real quick. Speaking of Robeson, because in a couple weeks I'll be broadcasting live from The Hague at a conference in tribute to Robeson.
Oh,
I just got some updated. I got my flight's reading materials to finish. Paul Robeson by Paul Robeson Jr. recently, not too long ago, passed, and Islanda by Barbara Ransby, talking about, of course, the woman who, among many other things, had also married Paul Robeson. And then, so anyway, just a little, you know. And then,
what you going to be doing, Jared?
So I've just been invited back. I've been there once before, and the conference organizers who do a lot involving art and activism, and who previously had, I was part of a conference they had in tribute to Emory Douglas and the Black Panther Party and art, and Kathleen Cleaver was there, and I stupidly, in private conversation with her, said something positive about Huey Newton, and you know, was reminded that, you know, there's, you know, still some issues, some unresolved. I was like, whoops, as the words came out my mouth, I was like, trying to catch them. And anyway, but so they're doing another one on activism and pop culture and athletics. So in tribute specifically to Robeson. So I'm going to be just, and what they've done in support of BPM as well is set up a panel, my presentation rather, to take place at 8 a.m. on Friday the 22nd. So I get to do it live. We're going to broadcast live, do my show as a sort of presentation, as my presentation there.
International jab. Let's go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So shout out to them for that as well.
And that one you just did recently was really good too. What school were you at?
Oh, Whitman College. Yeah. Shout out to Dr. Johnson and A.D. Carson, who if folks may remember, was the brother who is now well established in academia, but got his PhD by rapping his dissertation. He literally rhymed his dissertation and kind of changed, you know, what is acceptable, you know, for delivering your or presenting your work. So we were talking about, you know, hip hop and politics and all of that. That was great. And one thing that I forgot, real quick, if I can, because I forgot to say this that day, but I have met so many Kwabanas, and no one until that day, this brother, you know, we met, he said he introduced himself as Kwabana, and I did the stereotypical, I did my typical Yurugu thing and said, oh, something about, so that means Tuesday, you were born on a Tuesday, you know, trying to be slick or whatever. And he was the first one I've ever heard, or who would ever take the time, or who knew, to break down. He said, well, it's not exactly that. He said, because of course, Tuesday is a colonial construct that was imposed on us by the British. So the name actually means something far beyond that has been whittled down to born on a Tuesday. Because of course, to the original concept of those creating that name, there was no Tuesday. And I was like, damn it. I was like, so, you know, I was like, that's perfect. He wasn't condescending or it was perfect, but I was like, oh man, you know, that's colonialism. You know, I talk about it now. I'm experiencing it and practicing it and delivering it. So anyway, so shout out to him and to them and to everybody and to all that good stuff, and to everybody trying to blend art and activism and athletics and whatever. So anyway, thanks for that little indulgence. Who wants to get us started this morning? Anybody anything in particular they want to? We did slap the map, right? I'm not.
We did.
Slap the map, yeah. Well, yeah. I got a starter for us. This was interesting. It's one of the stories that was sent for us to look at. So
shout out to Erica.
Shout out to Erica. There's not a lot of detail with this story, but just the reaction. So apparently in Texas, parents stormed a lockdown Texas high school after reports of a gunman. So this was a BBC feature, and I'm going to put the sound on. So the
American parents
reaction of
are
the
on
parents is
edge.
what's really interesting. Obviously, everybody's on edge. People with school-age kids for potential shooters at the school. Parents said that they got the message, came down to the school, and this is what, I'm gonna make it bigger too. So this is what took place.
American parents are on edge at a time of school shootings and lockdowns. In San Antonio, Texas, parents swarmed Jefferson High School after getting notified of a suspected gun threat. It turned out to be false, but for those who were there, it felt real.
At 1 o'clock, I got the text. Mom, I'm scared.
We first heard the sirens wailing from a distance, and that's when my heart dropped. I was like, this is real. This is really real.
Tensions escalated between parents and police. One broke a window with a knife, and multiple others were detained.
A lot of people are saying that we overreacted. All the parents overreacted. We acted out as parents, concerned parents.
Inside the school, anxiety was running high among students as the shooting drills became a reality and armed police entered their classrooms searching for threats.
We put 2 bookcases in front of the door so no one will really come in.
I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna say I love yous to the people that I'm very close with.
Jefferson High School is just 80 miles from Uvalde. That's where 19 young children and 2 school teachers were murdered in May.
Yes, but I just found it obviously just the way the way the parents were reacting, and how, again, how things work in America is like you literally feel on edge the moment you'll get some kind of call like that. And this is probably one of the few places in the world where that's the kind of call you're going to receive. There may be a couple of other outliers, but this is one of the outliers where you literally have to, if you see a text on your phone that there's a shooter at your children's school, then the reaction of the parents was fantastic, because they're not waiting, particularly after what just happened, they're not waiting on the police to lead or to direct. It's like, we want our kids, and we don't know what you're up to, but we know that you're holding us back from seeing our kids, and we are ready to get to our kids. So
we had just this week, there has been an incident in neighboring schools where the official word apparently is that international hackers using some forms of high level VPN or whatever software have been calling in bomb threats and other related kind of warnings to various schools to try to, I guess, SWAT the schools, or activate police to the schools, or activate alerts and scary situations like that. But it is a mess. I mean, we as a family have had to talk about it. We have, to the best you can, contingency plans, but it's on top of all the other contradictions of engaging, these school systems. This is just one more. Anyway, it's.
Well, I hope what was reflected there is that more people in society are losing faith in the police. They don't have confidence in the police to keep them or their children safe. And I'm glad that people are coming to this realization. I hate the fact that Uvalde had to happen. What happened at Robb Elementary School, precipitated this, I hope what we're seeing is a mass consciousness or some sort of mass awakening about what actually police do and what they don't do. The police are not legally obligated to put their lives in danger. This is that is enshrined in the Supreme Court. That was a Supreme Court case that if a cop feels as though he is in danger, he or she does not have to endanger themselves in order to protect a member of the public. So I think parents and people generally are becoming more aware of this fact and are willing to take matters into their own hands, particularly where it concerns their kids and their families.
And Kim, doesn't even go beyond not putting their lives in threat. I thought they're not even by law mandated to actually prevent or stop crime. They are given the authority to do so should they decide to, but they're not actually mandated to beyond just threatening their own lives, actually do anything in terms of stopping crime.
I think that's right.
So yeah. Anyway, and then I don't know. I mean, I don't. Like what? First of all, should they be doing those trainings with do you? Why would it be tactically appropriate to do live training with students involved? Why do the students need to be there when you're doing your training? And why do you have to be doing that in an actual schoolroom with actual students? I mean, you wouldn't. You don't even train for warfare like that. I mean, you know what I mean?
It scares the kids more, right? It just scares the hell out of you.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, even just those drills seem traumatizing to me, and I'm not a student nor a parent. You know what I mean?
Because they could just come kicking in anybody's house and say, "Oh, we're training for a kidnapping situation," or bust in at any store you're in and be like, "Oh, we're training for a bank robber or whatever," while you're in line at the bank. It's like.
I just think isn't that kind of doing something weird to the kids, to their mental health? Like you are actually training these children how to respond in a very high stress situation, one that could potentially be fatal, right? And I think that repetitive drilling from a young age through high school, like that's got to affect these kids in some way, like that just seems.
I mean, think about the larger history of them having. With the nuclear fallout shelters in schools, and back in the 50s, they would have the drills where the kids would have to run and duck into the fallout shelter because you never know when Russia in particular was going to drop a nuclear bomb on you. So again, this is just a continuation of how Americans perpetuate fear amongst their citizens, like that kind of to do that training like that. And then the actual fear that exists because of America's role in the world or the propaganda and society that it's built, that this is considered normal behavior or something, again, that you even have to worry about for your kids. I have to worry about getting a cell phone message that there's a shooter at a school. It just, that should just be an outrageous concept that no one's ever heard of. But instead, it's almost a practice that you got to prepare for. Yeah.
And I think that's even worse today because, the example of the duck and cover, that should never happen. You know what I'm saying? Like we never had a nuclear strike where duck and cover was something that school children had to do. There has been so many countless school shootings. So these children today are training for a real life scenario, which is, again, has to be traumatizing in itself.
Yeah. The only people who really had to train for duck and cover were in Japan, because they actually experienced 2 nuclear weapons, right? So by the very perpetrators, United States dropping them one. So that,
Do you remember when they aired The Day After? Like the famous or infamous show that was supposed to depict the United States after a nuclear bomb was dropped on it in exchange with the Soviet Union. When
did that come out? When was that? Is it a television show?
It was a television show. It was like a television event in the early 80s. It had to be early 80s, I'm guessing. I was a kid at the time, and I remember, I was just trying to think about what you were saying, Kim, about the real versus, and I was saying even without an actual bomb being dropped on us, not that it had a tremendous impact on me, but I remember feeling the kind of way like, damn, that's what would happen. Like you see the total devastation, everything getting wiped out and, all this other stuff. And you're like, oh, that's pretty serious.
But what you were saying, I'm sorry. I was going to say, like you talk about a lot, and part of that is the propaganda of getting citizens to fall in line when the government tells you to do something, right? Because if you don't, the consequences are whatever. So listen to the government, do what the government says. Here we see a little bit of a breakout from that mode of people saying, obviously noting or seeing the failures of this particular apparatus to save anybody, and then reacting in a way that's fighting back or challenging, not obviously in the most politicized way in which we think about it, but in a direct way that's like about saving their kids and not just listening to what the police tell them as the truth, or thinking that the police are there to save somebody, as opposed to standing around and holding parents back from their kids.
Yeah. Wow.
What else
Right
we got?
on. Get your, what do they call, what do they used to call this place? Prozac Nation. Everybody get your, yeah, and do that too. That'll make you feel better. It'll make you feel good. Push that like button. It'll make you feel good. Anyway, where do we want to go next?
I don't have stories. I will accumulate stories. Sorry.
I do have no. I mean, Erica laced us, so I appreciate that. There's one that I just was looking at. I won't play the video. I just will show this as an example of the many new or a new crop of these videos and stories are coming out about Michael Burry and his predictions for the economy. And of course, again, Michael Burry, famously of the Big Short film, who predicted the Wall Street collapse of 2008 years in advance. And remember, that was the issue. He predicted as early as 2005 that the housing market was going to collapse because of how it was poorly constructed. And then it took a few years, and people, and even people he ended up making tens and even hundreds of millions of dollars, are still to this day angry at him for making it take that long. But the point is that he is now basically again saying we are in that moment now. So whether it's next year or 2 years from now, he's saying we're in a bigger bubble moment than before. It's everything that was going on in 2008 is worse now. It's been exacerbated, as he has pointed out, by the crypto market and index funds and all these other ways that the elite get together to pool their money and so on and so forth. There's just bubble over bubble over bubble. And the sort of headline that is that the only publicly traded stock, in other words, the only stock that he is by law made to make public in terms of his investment, is in the Geo Group, the biggest private prison conglomerate. So, in other words, I just think it's interesting.
Well, remember, I showed you the story like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, no, I had been looking at it. I'm just saying that there's a new crop. I'm just saying it's come back again. He's saying he's and I'm not doing it justice because I'm not going into the details as to why it's coming up again, but just specifically with apparently through index funds and what he's seeing in that. So that's all I'm saying. It's just another. You're right. I think it's he's been saying this for years, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be said probably maybe for a couple more, or maybe one more. I don't know, but the point is, just another reminder that if any of us are, dependent on investments, or more likely, if any of us are being told by others to invest to correct our situation, we might want to think yet again about why that's not a good idea.
Well, my assumption is this is partly why the feds have jumped out with the interest rates going up, because even they see that, as opposed to what they did before, which is like, this is, the economy is hot, it's cooking, let's continue to let this ride out. And at the last minute, there was like, boom, they are attempting to slow down, particularly, I guess, the real estate market, which is, again, as hot as ever. House prices have quadrupled in a short period of time. 1,300 square foot houses are like selling for like $400,000 to $500,000 in low level income or low income places, moderate income places. So you can see, from the outside looking in, of course, not being any particular expert on that, you can see what looks to be the shape of a bubble in the housing market again, with the gasoline prices, obviously the threat of confrontation with either, i.e. China and or Russia. So there seems to be something brewing, and then not only crypto, student loans. So there's those other places too, where it's like, where can the next bubble be? And with him even revamping the small amount he gave in terms of loan relief debt, it's going to do nothing to stop the amount of debt that's out there for folks who have student loans and their lack of ability to pay them. So there's several market areas that look like they potentially can collapse or do. And again, you just never know what's going to happen in the streets. The wildness over the last 5 years of Wall Street going record highs, huge drops. So
So who's going to be the scapegoat? Who's going to be the scapegoat for this bubble? The last bubble, the scapegoats were the subprime lenders, subprime borrowers, subprime mortgage borrowers. Oh, people were taking out money that they couldn't afford. Meanwhile,
I think
it was
going to be
bank.
some of the same.
But is it home buyers that are going to be blamed for this? I mean, because it's never the bank's fault. It's never the Fed's fault. It's always these goofy, uneducated consumers out here who just don't know how to manage their money.
It always makes sense. All industries are best served by going after the customers. So right. So we only go after the people who buy the drugs and pay for the sex and pay for, like, we only do that, right? We don't. No, but part of what I was looking at with the cryptoganda thing is that is already what I've seen as part of the narrative being developed, at least in some of these Black capitalist spaces. They're already saying, even though last year I was part of the cheerleaders saying invest in crypto and buy real estate, now that you have overextended yourself by taking all these loans to do that and are getting caught in the bubble, you shouldn't have overextended yourself. So if you got caught in the crypto bubble, then you should be now buying real estate. And then when that bursts, they'll be saying, well, that's why you should have had something in crypto or some other thing. And but yes, to your point, it's always going to be, you all did wrong. Now pay me for my next class and I'll tell you how to correct this error. And then it'll be certainly there'll be a nice overlay from above of,
and then there's always going to be one middle management dude, probably an Indian dude, that they will actually arrest and put into prison.
Oh, definitely.
All the top whites will just get more money from the government to stabilize their industries. That's what I felt like happened last night. Anytime I saw the 1 or 2 arrests they made, it's like, this person was caught.
You might even get a high-level Jew. You might get a high-level Jew. You might get a Madoff. You might get a Madoff. Yes. You might get a. You might. But at what is being protected? And I keep remember when they scroll that long list of Madoff crimes, that laundering line sticks out to me. Laundering. Whose money are you laundering with your ties to the British Crown and this royalty and that this and that? Whose money are you laundering? That's what I like. Open that up if you really want to break some stuff down. Otherwise, you're just sending another, again, high level, but you just send another banker to jail. Just one person. Open that up. I saw that laundering joint. It was like, what? Whose money? Whose?
That we don't need to talk about.
Anyway. But then again, I like to wake up in the morning and I like my little 4.5% cola. So I don't want to ask too many questions. But I'm just saying.
That 4% cola got ate up in a week. In a week.
Don't you rain on my parade, Kim.
It needs to be a bigger cola, Jared. It should have broke you off with a 10% jump. 4%. What's 4% doing when groceries is up 13%? When gas is up 30%? Like, the states need to step it up. State of Maryland, hey, we will be getting a new governor. Maybe you can have a conversation with Wesley Moore about this. I did a whole segment. I did a segment on my show, it was sometime last week. So the Maryland, we have a gubernatorial race here in the state of Maryland. Larry Hogan, the 2-term Republican governor, is going to be out because of term limits. And the Democratic nominee is Wes Moore. And I did a segment on my show asking, who the fuck is Wes Moore? Like, who is this man? Whom is he? Whose man's is this? He is likely going to win. This will be his first ever held elected office ever. Right? He's never held publicly elected office before. He's going to be the governor, the fucking governor, not of Delaware, of Maryland. You know what I'm saying? No distant Delaware, but I'm just saying. there's a little bit more consequential state. Again, no diss to Delaware, but Maryland's a little bit more important. I hate to say that, but it is. But you gonna be the fucking governor of Maryland, nigga. Don't nobody who the fuck you are. You Oprah's man. I need a little bit more, credit. I need him to be a little bit more better vetted. And there's been no vetting. There's been no vetting because his Republican opponent is a lunatic, right? So Dan Cox is the Republican opponent. He stands no chance of winning. He is the Trump endorsed candidate to be Maryland governor. Larry Hogan is not even campaigning for his ass. He's like, fuck that nigga. But anyway, Wes Moore, Jared, are you not concerned that we're about to have a unknown person? And endorsed by Oprah. Like that is his only claim to fame, is that this is Oprah's man's.
That's what brings me peace in this moment.
That Oprah is selecting, handpicking our elected officials.
Oprah is batting 1,000 on all the people she has delivered us. She's batting 1,000. So how dare you suggest otherwise? Honestly, Kim, you know what? I really appreciate you bringing this up. I do not pay enough attention to these things. I admit it. To particular local politics, even at that level. And you are right about how serious it is. I think you're right about raising your hand and saying, "Who the hell is this?" and how are these people just showing up like this and getting here? And I think this is again why I keep advocating what I advocate in terms of our involvement with electoral politics. But no, so I'm not, what I have to say is I have to admit is I'm not any more particularly alarmed than I am just in general about the general disarray of everything. But you are right. I mean, and yeah, I think that's.
I'm just curious, really do you guys know this to happen? I mean, I'm thinking maybe Jesse Ventura is the first person that comes to mind that I don't, that being governor is the first elected office that they held.
But he had been in a movie with Arnold. So
I didn't say he didn't have experience, Jared.
What was Arnold Schwarzenegger's prior electoral experience?
Yeah, but you're talking about
Terminator. Y'all better have some respect on my Hollywood. You know what I'm saying?
And Ronald Reagan. Was Ronald Reagan before he became governor of California? Was
exactly?
I can't remember. I don't obviously, but I'm just
Reagan
curious.
was in movies with monkeys, son.
So compare that list to Wes Moore, right? So you just named Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronald Reagan, Jesse Ventura, all three very well known in their, respective previous fields before coming to politics. Who the fuck is Wes Moore? Who the fuck is Wes Moore? And that's not a diss per se, but I look at him and I'm alarmed by the aesthetic because I feel like I'm getting Barack and Michelle game ran on me again. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at this beautiful young black couple, oh, they're so accomplished, or this, to that, and I'm like, yeah, I seen that in 07, 06, and look what the fuck it got us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by this packaging, and I don't really know what he stands for. And there was supposed to be 3 scheduled debates. Wes Moore refused to debate Dan Cox for 2 of these debates. So they're only going to have 1 debate, which I think is this week on Maryland Public Television. But Dan Cox is not a bright bulb. So I don't understand why Wes Moore would be reluctant to debate Dan Cox. Like, mollywop this nigga for 3 debates. Like, I don't see what the problem is. But I don't want to amplify his extremist rhetoric. What, dog, you're running for governor. Like, you need to debate your opponent. I don't care what you think about them. You need to debate them because we as voters need to know where the fuck you stand on things. Like, I cannot just be coming to know Wes Moore's platform by going to his website. Like, he needs to be campaigning for my fucking vote. And I'm mad that the Democrat, the way how deeply gerrymandered Maryland is in favor of the Democrats, it is allowing this unknown, this political neophyte to basically just crip walk into Annapolis, like unchallenged. He doesn't have to do a lot, and that bothers me. I don't like that.
So if we can, I would love to come back to this after the break. And I would love, as a teaser to that moment, as we bring in someone who is well qualified to his position, that maybe, Kim, we get maybe a live watch party of that debate.
Of the debate?
Anyway, Ear Doctor, come on up. Look like you're about to go back to school. Yeah,
I'm playing my student teacher role, and I'm trying to figure something out here. I need y'all help. I didn't know what this was on Sundays. Somebody sent it in. What is this? HNL $75. Is that $75?
That's $75. I thought. I don't.
What is the HN?
Oh, you mean the currency?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, that got me right there. But big up to Kevin C. I don't know what that is, but
Hold
appreciate
on. So you asked us instead of asking Google?
y'all are my
here.
Google. I'm giving y'all props here. Y'all.
Oh, it's Honduran. It's Honduran. It's the Honduran
Limpira.
Look at that. Look at that. See?
Right on Honduras. Look, the chat knew.
See?
Honduran Limpira.
God did. Anyway.
The chat knows all.
Oh, wow.
Niggapedia over here in the BPM remix chat.
All right, so let's go ahead and get to our next break right here on the Remix Morning Show. What's good, everybody? Welcome out once again to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and I was just in class over here trying to figure some things out. In case you didn't know, if you've been living under the rock, I am a professional DJ, and there's a certain thing that goes on at parties and stuff, which is called line dancing. I know when you think of line dancing, for some of y'all might think of line dancing like some cowboys and girls or square dancing and stuff like that. But there is what you call line dancing in the Black communities, where at first I didn't like it. I ain't go front. You had electric slide, you got the wobble, you got the cubic shuffle, you got all these different ones, right? I get it. People like to get out there, and I always thought like, yo, people are doing this because they can't dance. Like it's no singular dancing. As soon as I play the wobble or something, a lot of the people that's doing their regular dances exit the floor. And then you got a whole crop of people that, get on and do their line dance. And when the line dance is over and I play a song that's not, they exit the floor. So for a while, I was like, oh, here they come with this line dance. But I was like, where did this even start from? So I had to go back and be like, okay, this had to start before they was doing square dances and stuff. And I came across this starting all the way back in Africa. What y'all think? As you can see, they're all doing it together. This is all something they all do together. So they've been doing this for a long time. So with that said, as you can see, line dances go back in history for a long time. So after I realized that, I had to put some more respect on it and understanding that this is a communal dance. This is something everybody can get up and do of all ages, and they can all be together on the dance floor. So I respect it now. I ain't going to say I like playing it, but big up to all y'all people out there line dancing to Before I Let Go, Candy, and all these other songs. What is it? Tamia, Can't Get Enough, all that. Big up to all y'all line dancers and steppers out there. Keep the dance floor hot, and I appreciate y'all. With that said, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning Show. Yeah, that's my red alert.
Yeah. Big up to all the Chicago steppers, all the hand dancers out there. Jared and Kamal, y'all about hand dancing years old? Are y'all getting ready to start hand dancing?
No, I do appreciate it. And I get it. And shout out to all of the forms of dancing from line to hand that allow less physically capable, less talented people to participate. Like you don't have to be the most physically gifted to do all the things, and but I'm not, but no, Kamal, I don't know if you're heading in that direction, but
You had to start hand dancing, Kamal.
Nah. I still got some life in these legs. You know what I'm saying? I still get out there and do my thing.
And
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with your face? What's wrong with your face?
What
Kim,
thing?
where, Kim? What club you been in, Kim? I don't
What
think you know
dances
me,
are
girl.
your legs doing? I'm curious. Like, you out here
girl. I don't think
windmilling
you know
still?
me.
What's going on, Kamau?
I don't think you know me. Now I got to come to Baltimore. I'm gonna come to Baltimore.
and do what?
Get you out your house. Get you out your house.
You gonna do the percolator?
I think we also got to look at sororities and fraternities. They also line dancers. They all do their dances with the canes, like the Kappas and all that stuff. So
that's different, though.
Yeah,
I mean, that's stepping.
I think
some of that, but I think I don't know if I'd put that in the category of stuff that the physically and untalented folks can physically, like that. Some of that stuff is a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
I ain't gonna front. These line dancers, they done remix the wobble and all types of stuff. So they be out there getting it. After a while, I was like, okay. So I ain't gonna say that they are untalented now.
No, they're not.
Nah, they're not.
Dog, I never forget
the
first time I seen Black people do the wobble or the remix wobble. I was like in Applebee's or Fridays or something, and they came on, and I'm like, do y'all know each other? How are all y'all in step? How is everybody so coordinated with this choreography? Like, Black people are amazing. Like, I'm trying to tell you, like, woo.
It's mad communal because you'll talk to a person and start smiling and dancing with them. You don't even know them. So I give that to it as being a communal thing. So that's my little thoughts as a student teacher today on line dancing. I catch
right on. Thank you very much. And in case you didn't know, he is a professional DJ.
Respect. We love the DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Big up to the DJ. DJ's foundation. That's why Ear Doctor is so important. That's why when Ear Doctor is not here, it is very obvious. When Ear Doctor is not,
that is true. That is very true. Exactly. When he's gone, I really do appreciate him. But when he's here,
out here floating.
When he's out here saying Aletha Gibson.
So
I sent you guys an email with some stories, FYI.
Yeah, real quick. Let me just do this one because it's right on time with what we were talking about, and then because just as if to answer our question or attempt to answer our previous question about what are they doing, the Uvalde School District suspends its entire police department and superintendent announces retirement plans. All of the department's activities were suspended for an unspecified period of time, and 2 employees were placed on administrative leave after it was revealed this week that one of the first state troopers to respond to the deadly shooting in May was later hired as a district police officer.
Yikes.
So just keep failing up. Oh, you messed up over there? I got a job for you over here, son.
For you, son.
Anyway, so I don't know how much of this we need to really get into, but that's pretty much that's at least the headline story. Uvalde, Uvalde school officials on Friday suspended all of everybody. I just read all of that. Lieutenant Miguel Hernandez and Ken Mueller were placed on leave, and other officers employed with the department will fill other roles in the district, according to Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District press release issued Friday. Mueller decided to retire. The release said the release did not specify why Hernandez and Mueller were placed on leave. A district spokesperson did not immediately return phone and email messages.
Two Uvalde parents, I believe, have filed lawsuits, and I think they are the parents of students that survived. Unfortunately, I don't have the story pulled up, but I do recall seeing that that some legal action is already underway. So I appreciate what the parents in Uvalde are doing. They are obviously not letting this go, nor should they ever, and putting the press on the local officials there. But I don't know whether any of this will swing the governor's race. I mean, there's a lot of consequential governor's races happening across the country, and the one in Texas, very critical. Greg Abbott appears to be dominating Beto. He's so annoying. He's such an annoying white man. Beating the shit out of Beto at the moment. Big up to Delilah, who's the third party candidate down there. Delilah for Texas. You want to vote third party, Delilah is right there for you to vote for governor. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I hope that it appears as though at minimum the parents are going to make sure that shit changes in Uvalde, right? It may not change across the state, but they are going to make sure that things change there. And I don't think they're finished.
I'm not mad at that. I mean, at minimum, you got to get rid of the faces. Like, I get it. Like, even if they get replaced by the same, I mean, I'm not mad at them for at least saying, I can't look at your particular face in that role anymore. You can't. Nobody should be coming back from that. That was a total collapse.
I mean, but perhaps these lawsuits will end up bankrupting the department. Right, because I would imagine that the lawsuits from children who survived, like it's your fault that I got shot, that I got injured, or that my injuries were not able to be treated in a timely fashion because y'all stood out in the hallway, scrolling on your phones, whatever they was doing.
Well, could bankrupt the city but I'm assuming the state will step in. So the department itself, even though it's listed as probably a plaintiff in any lawsuit or a defendant in any lawsuit, the money is going to come from the city coffers, county, and or state. Yeah. So, but speaking of Kim, I pulled up some of your stories, but I wanted to quickly do a follow-up story to what we talked about yesterday about what's going on in Los Angeles. So just because the video of the
council meeting,
the video of the city council meeting. So I just wanted us to play that for a few seconds
to
get a touch of what happened following the secretly recorded messages or conversation between city council members and labor union members that was released, and then there was an uproar. People came to City Hall, and so let's see what happened.
I am still trying to wrap my head around everything that was said and everything that is happening. My husband and I are both raw and angry and heartbroken and sick. And I take a lot of hits. And hell, I know I practically invite a bunch of them. But my son, man, that makes my soul bleed and it makes my temper burn. And I know I'm not alone because Los Angeles has spoken and it feels the same way.
Certainly a dark cloud sits over Los Angeles once again. And it sits over Los Angeles because of the blatant, bold, destructive, and demeaning comments by city council members and a labor leader.
Shame on all of you. Resign and make room in those seats for the people who are a reflection of this community, not money-hungry, power-chasing, paper-chasing, evil racists who are even racist towards their very own, but the real Black and brown people who make up the majority of the population in the city of Los Angeles, California. Apologies are not enough. You must resign. There is no other option. There is no excuse.
I do not believe we can have the healing that is necessary or govern as we need to while council members Martinez, De Leon, and Cedillo remain as members of this council. Words with a heavy heart, but this is a heavy and a deeply tragic moment for this city. The court of public opinion has rendered a verdict, and the verdict is they all must resign.
Shit.
So the city councils are up, and as Jared, as Kim pointed out yesterday, the only thing that they have done so far is she resigned from the council presidency and she's taken a leave, unless there's some more updated information.
It was coming in fast and furious yesterday, man. There was a lot happening. The White House even weighed in on this. Joe Biden said that he thinks that Nuri Martinez should retire. I said, the president is weighing in on city councils now? Can he do Baltimore next? Can you do New York next? Are we just calling for bad city council members to step down? Yes. I said, oh boy. Oh boy, y'all, they was turning up at City Hall yesterday. Big up to the People's City Council. Big up to all the activists and organizers who showed up to give the City Council the blues. Naturally, LAPD showed up ready to riot. It got a little contentious there between people who were trying to come to City Hall and the police, but people were eventually admitted in, and it was a raucous. Like, I don't even think the clip that you just played gives enough credit to how loud and boisterous it was in there yesterday in City Hall, demanding for these people to step down. Can you imagine about they potentially could lose 3 city council members in one fell swoop? That is huge. That could really shift the political alignment of that city council in one election potentially. It's actually a big opportunity. So anyway, sorry.
Yeah. I hope you're right. I've been trying to figure out how I feel about this whole thing, and I'm not having, I think, an optimistic. So I hope you're right, Kim, because maybe it's because what I'm seeing, or I'm looking in, or what I'm maybe overly focused on. But I feel like this is not being appropriately interpreted by enough people, and more people are using this as an excuse to further cause division between Black and brown. I think there seems to be more confusion around how race and class play out in electoral campaigns. So I don't know. I mean, it's just a feeling and a whatever. But so I hope I'm wrong. But yeah. But it just feels like not enough appropriate response is being generated, or I'm not seeing it. Maybe that's my own algorithm is messed up.
I would think so. Yeah, like you got to follow the radical folks out there in Los Angeles and the independent journalists. I think they are giving good perspective of this. And to our Afro Latinos or Latinos who are watching us, part of Nuri Martinez's disparaging comments did not just land on the Black child of her fellow city council member. She also talked shit about Jewish people. She talked shit about Armenians. And specifically, she referenced Oaxacans. Am I saying that right? From the Oaxaca region of Mexico. And I don't understand those intra-community, those intracultural differences. So I would like someone to contextualize why she would even take time to isolate the Oaxacans of the Mexican people, which, by the way, Los Angeles has a very high population of Oaxacan folks from Mexico. So maybe somebody in the chat, hey, maybe we could send somebody in the chat the link and they could come on and explain this to us, because I know none of us are Latino or Afro-Latino. So, well, maybe y'all do know. Let me not speak for y'all. I don't know what y'all know. Do y'all know?
No.
Okay. I don't have an answer to that. So yeah, I'm happy to put the link in the chat, or to have anybody that wants to, if that's, I'm always down for that. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, can somebody come and contextualize? Yeah, she came for Kim K's people. No, Nori was going in like she was fucking Noriega, you know what I'm saying, on Drink Champs. Like Nori Martinez said, no, I got something for everybody in this recording, even for the kids. But I mean, what do y'all think about my guy's white tears? I mean, I understand.
Yeah, that was a little, I couldn't feel his pain. But obviously he has to say something. He and his husband, as he pointed out, that was his son, his adopted Black son. But, it brings up all those conflicting issues of like liberalism and how it works politically and in a larger, because these are all supposedly progressive liberals who are, of course, infighting, fighting for power, fighting for resources and money. This is all this sort of liberal mishmash class of folks of various, obviously, identities, sexual identities, races, ethnic groups, but they're all fighting for acknowledgement or prestige and to get next to, and the power of being, a heavy hitter in Los Angeles, and potentially for them, what it means next career-wise. So I said it to say they can give a fuck about working class and poor people in Los Angeles, again, as the so-called progressives. What they really are fighting about is like, this one is positioning themselves that way, and how fake and phony they are. And they're trying to get this money from this one or these ones or dumb, and they can be easily influenced. And it's all brought in there with the racism that I do think is obviously part of the subtext issue around Black-Brown relationships, right? So I do think that is a legitimate subtext issue to be discussing and brought out. What happens too much in America, of course, is that becomes the issue, and then the class analysis around the fact that all these folks who are having this discussion are elites amongst their peoples, right? Relatively speaking, for the white gay guy, that's a relative elite, but for the Latino community and the other folks in the labor unions, those particularly are elite figures who might be thinking of themselves 5 years from now, I could be in the Biden administration, or 5 years from now, I might be able to run for governor with the turns of how things are going. So that's what's on their mind. Their mind isn't about what they can do for Black and brown communities and how to save those communities and keep those communities strong in Los Angeles. It's about like who's getting that developer money, who's positioning themselves for ABC. And so I think that's the basic, that's part of also the sort of subtext of what this is around. These are so-called progressives supposed to be on your side. And really what they care about is their own power and influence. And and if they're saying it obviously in very, basic ways through the language they're using, but that's what they're fighting over, talking about, or getting mad at each other over, is who's positioning whom for what positions, and how they don't fucking deserve it because I fucking deserve it because I'm the real one up in here.
So that's sort of what I'm saying. Like I have no doubt that there are people exist that have a clear analysis and interpretation of what's happening. I'm just saying that in terms of the overwhelming response, including in press conferences or gatherings like that, where so much of it is reduced to not that this isn't legit, but it's almost limited to only my feelings are hurt, and you hurt my son's feelings, and you hurt someone's feelings, and not enough of a discussion of how these discussions and hostilities are manifestations of these broader and deeper problems, how they're being used to play communities off of one another, how all of this is being a con so people, to Kamal's point, can position themselves for placement down the line. And then all the questions around what is the relationship of voting to actual power, to resource distribution, to all of those, like all of those important questions continue to just more easily get pushed down the stream or left off altogether. And so that's really all I mean by what I'm saying about my, kind of my response, or what I'm seeing as a response to this. And then part of it, some of it is personal. I get it. Like some people are just asking me, what do you think about it? Because, a Latino said something, or a Latina said something, or white folks adopted a Black kid. And I'm like, yeah, I have all kinds of feelings and thoughts about that, but I'm more interested in what is the conversation coming as a result of all of this. So anyway, that's all I've been. But anyway.
Also, by the way, in that news cycle yesterday out of Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Police Department shot and killed a person, a male in their 40s. This happened about 3:30 yesterday morning, before all the other news surrounding the LA City Council broke. And you heard very little about that officer murdering somebody. The details are very scant. And all of the local LA media outlets have fallen directly into line and printed the press release and the tweet as ordered by the LAPD PIO. And this is now the 14th person that has been murdered by the Los Angeles Police Department this year, the 30th person shot. And because of all this, political drama that was happening in the city council, you heard very little about it. So I just wanted to note that.
Yeah, one of didn't we have one of the co-founders of Campaign Zero on not too long ago?
I think Kalanji had him on.
Kalanji had him on.
Yeah.
I just saw. I was trying to find it real quick. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I just saw. I think they put out some sort of infographic about police killings, and it was something, if I remember correctly, something over 800 police shootings or killings already this year. And something about, maybe not the year, but that was the number. I think that might be the year. But the point was, one of the points was also that over the last 10-year period, there's been more police violence than ever. So for whatever people think about Black Lives Matter and post George Floyd and whatever else, and all of the money that has been given or taken, the issue is not getting any better, clearly. So, but one improvement to your block is when the ear doctor shows up and sets up. We're not saying, you know, so somebody is being blessed on a corner somewhere.
That's right. We in these hip hop streets right now, and I wanted to show some love to one of a hip hop artists, and you know how we do right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Go. Hey, hit that like and subscribe button. Listen, today we should be hitting 20K. Is this just me? We should be hitting 20K today. We need some more subscribers. So share, let some other people know. Hey, go subscribe. It's free. That's all you gotta do. So let's go ahead and talk about one artist that a lot of people love and is known as one of the greatest storytellers of all. Who am I talking about? No other than Slick Rick. That's right, Slick Rick, also known as Richard Martin Lloyd Walters. Now, Slick Rick came out with Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew around the mid 1980s. They did the song The Show and Lottie Dottie. These are two of the biggest joints that ever came out in hip hop history. Now, a lot of people wonder, what happened to Slick Rick? Slick Rick pretty much had a bodyguard that was pretty much threatening him and his mom, trying to extort him. So one day, he seen a bodyguard out and was like, oh, word. Slick Rick was like, oh, I'm a giddy. So Slick Rick took like 4 shots, blah, 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 blah. And he hit the bodyguard and he hit a passerby in the foot. So what happened is he wound up getting like 5 years in prison, 2 for then second-degree attempted murder charges. But good old Russell Simmons got him out and said, hey, let's do another album. So you know how it is with these record companies. They want you to get you out and get some money off you. So you know Russell did. So yeah, that's pretty much the story. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a little dose of Slick Rick in case you ain't know about it. All right.
Who goes yonder? Well, I'm sitting on my lunch break, grinning my teeth. It's the last day of the week. Boy, what a really. My muscles kinda ache, they felt rigid and stiff. So I looked around and I smoked this big fat split. Now I'm happy as can be, I'm in this my head spell. I'm supposed to vise it in my eyes so that no one can tell. It's 12:55, almost time for the bell. Put the breakfast in the mouth so that the mouth don't smell. Now
Your Highness, they await you.
Yeah. So that's what it is right here on the Remix Morning Show. A little bit of Slick Rick in case you didn't know. Now you do. Now let's go ahead and make it back to no other than my Remix Morning crew. All right, right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go.
Greatest rap storyteller ever. I said it. I stand on that. I stand on that.
I might not be mad at that. I feel like they're going to hit. You're going to do them lyrics, but they're going to hit us if you do Mona Lisa, right?
I give them a little piece. They know the rest. If they don't, they better go find out. That's what these segments are all about. Give y'all a little bit of sprinkle so y'all can go do your own research.
Speaking of which, it's like, I'm sorry, Jared, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say I appreciate you all bringing him up, but all of this is mistaken because as the great one and only Tariq Nasheed tells us, only Black Americans had anything to do with hip hop. So all this Slick Rick and all this Caribbean doesn't count.
All right, what were you saying, Kim?
I'm so glad I don't listen to Tariq Nasheed because I have never heard that take. I've never heard that take.
It's actually kind of congratulations, because it's bubbled. That's why my algorithm is all messed up. It's bubbled up all over the place, and then added on to it with Fat Joe talking about his and Puerto Rican relationship to hip hop history it has become a complete.
It's another ADOS argument, right?
Oh yeah, it's just a whole. Latinos had nothing to do with it. Africa had nothing to do with it. The Caribbean had nothing to do with it. It was all us.
Who the fuck is that rhetoric even for? Like, who is that for?
The white conservatives who fund that movement.
Who like to divide and conquer.
When you said, Ear Doctor, about, going back and listening to stuff and then it makes you want to go research, Slick Rick used Paul McCartney's, or was it the Beatles? My Michelle. Was that in Mona Lisa? Michelle, my belle,
yeah.
I did not know at the time that was Paul McCartney, and I'm like, look at Slick Rick, just dropping some random new gots.
I mean, look at KRS-One. He did the same thing.
I know, but we're not talking about KRS-One.
Let me give y'all the pros.
I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. KRS-One.
No, you're right. A lot of the older rappers used rock songs, the Beatles, different songs. Hey Jude, Boogie Down Production, will always get paid.
Oh, that's right. BDP did that Billy Joel too.
Yep. So big up to Slick Rick and all the pioneers. We made it to 275, so it might be a
what?
Yeah.
Y'all came in the joint.
I do want to say very quickly before we get to that special mix that having gone back and listened very carefully recently to his entire catalog, Pharoah Monch is as good a storyteller, if not better, than anybody else. In particular, again, you got to go back to the trilogy of songs that he has done before Nas, telling the perspective of a bullet and a gun. As one example, in a trilogy, he lays it out over albums. Even I'm telling you, he doesn't get the credit he deserves.
But always want to dig deep in the crates.
Hey, tomorrow, top 5 storytellers, and I'm gonna tell you, MC Light's gonna be in there. Just to let y'all know.
Okay.
True.
I feel like Pharoah Monch fans are also MF Doom fans, and they always give dissertations about why, and I'm like, oh, okay.
They're the nerds of hip hop, hip hop nerds. I love
Big
it.
time, yes.
Yo, so that's my time. I catch y'all at the end of the show. So leave me
with a mix, son. With a mix.
5 minutes. Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna leave
sorry,
the background there. I am not offended. I have never been offended at being told that you are smart and intelligent and aspiring to intellectualism. I have never been offended by that. So
I mean, if you
good.
Is that how did I misinterpret that? That's how I hear that.
That's how you hear that.
You aspire to being smart. Yes.
No, just stop trying to
am
sell
a
us on Pharoah
philosopher.
Monch,
I do think
dog.
very deeply.
We have had decades to appreciate Pharoah Monch. If it's 2022 and Pharoah Monch is still not being appreciated, please stop selling us on Pharoah Monch. Like, I just feel as though like people keep trying to explain to me why I don't understand the greatness of Pharoah Monch and all these other, nerdy ass rappers, not nerdy per se, but deep rap fans. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's cool.
And organized confusion. Their name always popping up too in that book.
You've hit both of you have hit new lows in your hip hop analyses. But hey, you know what? It's all good. It's all good. We can. There's room for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
We move.
There's room for everybody.
Kim, I close up some of your stories. Is there anyone that you want to take a lead with?
What's the subject line say, Kamal?
In your stories?
Mm-hmm.
We got several of them up here.
What does the subject line say, Kamal?
Start from Oh, God, damn, no. Well,
I tried to
okay.
tell him.
Oh, you did? My bad. Okay. Well, let's start
Start
there.
at the bottom. I wasn't quoting Drake.
Tim, like men, just don't listen.
Ever. That's why I would love to hear how these wives have trained these husbands like this. Because apparently they do listen to a woman. That's very obvious. The women have been listened to. Now, do they extend that listening to most women? I'm not sure, but
now I'm scared too, because as I try to listen, it's one of those things. When my mom back in the day, she'd send you to the store, be very precise about what you needed to get, and you come back with half that shit. You're like, oh, this it needs another brand. She sent you right back down there. It's like,
oh no, Kamau, do you know? Let me tell you how gangster my mother used to be with it. She had mapped out the Safeway across the street and would send me with the list in order that they would appear. Literally, I'm not bullshitting. In order that they would appear by aisle. So she would say, start at aisle 1. And she had it all, and I would just boop boop. It was the most foolproof joint because it's the same thing. I don't want to have to send him back, and he's not getting it. So I'm a but
no. My problem would be is that even when she did that, I still would fuck it up somehow. So because that half-ass paying attention that Kim is accusing me of now.
Accusing.
Here's the story from the bottom to the top.
Started from the bottom, now we here. This is what New York says every time they see Eric Adams' fucking face on TV. Started from the bottom, now we here. Now we are here. So following up on the story.
This is about to be good. This is about to be really good.
So following up on a story, is this the NY one or is this the Twitter?
This is the NY one, which was the bottom.
Boom. Thank you, Kamau. Thank you so much for your attention to detail. So this is following up on a story that we talked about last week here on the show about the immigration crisis, how border governors, Texas, Arizona, Florida have been sending busloads by the thousands of migrants to cities like Chicago, Washington, D.C., and New York City. Around 17,000 migrants have arrived in New York City over the past few months. And Eric Adams says that the city is now in a state of emergency as a result of all of these migrants, which, by the way, the city of New York has set up tents. Again, I'm in such confusion as to why the fuck they would set up tents for the migrants to live out there. Is it Orchard Beach? Kamau, do I have that right?
I think that is right, yes.
Orchard Beach, which according to New Yorkers is East Bumblefuck, right? It's not close to anything, not close to anything. So Eric Adams had the brilliant idea of setting these people up far, far away from services and from transportation, and has now declared a state of emergency. So this is that announcement.
Mayor Adams sent a clear message on Friday. The city is at its limits when it comes to helping the thousands of asylum seekers coming into the city on a daily basis.
New York City is doing all we can, but we are reaching the outer limit of our ability to help. We now have a situation where more people are arriving in New York City than we can immediately accommodate, including families with babies and young children.
Adams declared a state of emergency in a bid to help focus the city's resources to building relief centers, a temporary solution to the escalating crisis. Officials say now more than 17,000 migrants have come into the city from the southern border, a population that has strained the city's social services and funding. Adams said that the city is on track to spend about $1 billion this fiscal year on aiding arriving migrants.
This is unsustainable. The city is going to run out of funding for other priorities.
Amid the crisis, Adams says more help needs to come from the federal and state governments, calling for aid and improved immigration policies, including other cities taking in migrants.
We need a realistic decompression strategy at the border that will slow the outflow of asylum seekers. We need a coordinated effort to move asylum seekers to other cities in this country to ensure everyone is doing their part.
Since the announcement, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has said he will continue to send asylum seekers to New York. The mayor said at least 8 buses had arrived at Port Authority on Friday. Meanwhile, local lawmakers have said they support Adams' call for help and implore him to continue to consider indoor shelter options like hotels and large venues for future use. Kelly Mena, New York One.
So New York is already dealing with a housing crisis. Well, at least let me say it like this. New York City is doing a very bad job of handling its unhoused population. As you guys remember, over the summer, Eric Adams had NYPD sweeping encampments, uprooting people from where they had been, residing outdoors, and trying to force them into shelters, but there's not enough shelter space. There's not enough shelter beds. And a lot of people who are unhoused don't want to go in the shelters for obvious reasons. And so here we are with an additional crisis of I can't even say lack of housing, because it's not like New York doesn't have housing available to put these folks. It's cheaper to put them in tents, and they don't care enough about them to rent them apartments and et cetera, the housing that is available, the vacancies that they do have open. So I just wanted to follow up with that story and just highlight again, like our brothers and sisters who are coming to the southern border are just being used as political pawns. Like their lives are just being ballied about between the Texas governor, the New York mayor, the American president. Like nobody is stepping up and doing what needs to be done to really give assistance to these folks.
It's amazing to me that this is an immigration policy. A governor in one state, to start off with just the basics, gets to basically shuttle people who come into that state all the way to New York City. There's no federal intervention to stop this, to set up opportunities for people to locate where they're at, or to be like they're just immediately just thrown on buses. And this is considered sound. This is considered either okay, or no one says anything. Even in this speech that the mayor gave, looking like a 1970s like fake ass Italian gangster with that bad suit on, it makes no reference whatsoever in any strong way of like, this needs to stop now. The federal government needs to intervene. Someone needs to intervene to set up systems of relief for these folks right there at the border, and housing and so forth. And in addition to that, when folks do reach New York City, as they will come anyway through other venues besides this busing thing, we need to set up ways in which people have permanent housing and are not just, again, that we start busting them off to some other place where we think is no man's land and no person's land, again, without the social services, without anything that they can have to stabilize themselves. So everyone's kind of passing the buck. But I just don't understand how you could live in a country where there's no federal policy that intervenes and says that this is something that has to be dealt with, as opposed to what's happening. So everybody is just fucking passing the buck, not paying attention, trying to ignore it. And then this Republican dude is just scoring political points with his constituents because that's what they do. And then they get away with it.
So for me, it all comes back to the moment that I missed my opportunity in, I think, 1993 to meet Halle Berry, which would have, of course, changed all of the universal events that have taken place since. But it was at the 30th anniversary of the March on Washington, and I remember standing in the crowd watching all these speeches from people who had voted for Clinton and all the Clintons after them and all the Bidens and Obamas after them talk about how NAFTA and all of this was going to create the very situation we're living in. And I'm just saying, so that's all I keep thinking about every time this stuff happens. Like, you all keep voting for these people. They keep creating these policies and they dress them up differently. Biden and Obama were no better than Trump and vice versa. And we're right back. And then we're into all of your points. I mean, we're in a situation where not only all these people can be abused in a situation that would first create their desire to come here in the first place, and then they get shipped around all over the place. And meanwhile, people who were even born here aren't treated any better, have no housing either.
Yeah.
And isn't it still the case that New York hotels are still like 50% unoccupied or whatever, below normal capacity, whatever the percentage is. But even hotels aren't, like, if they really needed to put somebody somewhere, the finest hotels have probably all kinds of occupancies right now. Vacancies rather right now, I should say.
I mean, my question is, like, this quote unquote immigration problem has been a problem. Let them tell it from their perspective, the leaders, that is, it's been a problem for a generation for two now. I mean, I'm thinking from Reagan from the 80s, right? I mean, just from my lifetime, I can recall immigration being a major political issue going back to the 80s. And here we are in 2022. So at the end of the day, this is not a problem for somebody, right? Like the ways that this system is allowed to continue seemingly broken from the outside to the rest of us, this system must be working specifically well for somebody, because there is no political incentive to really do anything to change it.
No, shout out to the late great Dr. James Turner. I remember it was in one of his classes where I first learned about the Bracero program, going back. And I think, look at it. Look at the timing. Look at the timing. Look at the timing.
Conrad,
going back to the 40s and 50s, where the whole thing was when white folks, white boys, when poor white boys are getting sent off to war, and poor black boys are being sent off to war, and we're going to let a few more white women into the workforce. To replace some of that depleted local workforce, we're going to invite in a whole bunch of who we would call illegal immigrants yesterday. We're going to underpay them, slave wage them, work them during the war. And then as soon as the war is over, we're going to call them illegal again, drag their ass right back over there. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing happening now. That's why it's a pun intended dark humor, but it's when I walk around here, or when you go around here, it's a whole bunch of continental Africans and Central and Southern Americans pushing white babies in carts, opening the doors, collecting the mail when it's delivered to these white houses. And it's like, so the help has become La Yuda. And that black labor force that used to be the help has been pushed to some other margin. So it's like, so my point is, yes, the people benefit. And the question is never asked, going back to what you even were raising earlier, the question is never asked, who's doing the fucking hiring? We keep talking about who's taking the job, but nobody's talking about who's doing the hiring. Like, and why are you willing to, anyway? So that's why we see, like everybody who's doing who's coming around here, you're picking up the trash and doing the gardening. All of them were dragged up here, or incentivized up here, allowed to get around something to get up here. They all look at how many of these contractors that I've learned a lot about the last couple of years. It's white, even black on the surface. And underneath that is a lot of the people who show up the day after you sign the contract. You can't talk to none of them.
Not unless you bilingual and got your vocabulary right. Yes, sir.
But even then, they don't want to talk to you because everybody knows what's up. So even if you come in with the hola, que paso, they're like, like you're not gonna get me with your little bit of like, you out of here. I see you. I'm gonna speak Spanish too. The undercover speak Spanish. No, I mean it's like it's a whole. So it's all a mess, man. So that's why I keep saying let's focus on the pot that is generated and distribute that, and stop worrying about who is where in what place creating it, because it's never gonna be fair. It's never gonna be equal, and they're gonna constantly be. And then they're gonna find the Latina to come out there talk about blacks. He's with the blacks. And then we're going to be right back to square one. Anyway.
All right. So I know you said from the bottom, the second story you had up there, you want to continue on to Eric Adams one?
Yeah, no, fuck that. We heard enough of Eric Adams. We heard enough about Eric Adams. And then what do I have right above that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Today is the third day of unhoused encampments?
Yep. Go ahead, pop that up there. This is not a video. This is a tweet and a photo, because unhoused people are fed the fuck up, specifically in Minneapolis. According to the Twin Cities Encampment Twitter page, if we get their tweet up with the photo, because what they have done, so the city of Minneapolis has been clearing unhoused encampments basically all summer, and the people are obviously mortified because these sweeps are very violent. They are what's the word I'm looking for? They don't take into consideration people's personal property, their papers, etc. And when you're unhoused, it can be very difficult to try to replace your own personal papers if they are thrown away in a sweep, etc. So, according to the Twin Cities Encampment Twitter page, an unhoused community has posted up on the steps of Mayor Jacob Fry's house, outside of the mayor's house. They have posted up tents. They have set up fucking shop. Day 3. So I just wanted to point that out, that is an action being taken by the unhoused community in Minneapolis and their comrades. They are taking a stand here against the violence of the unhoused sweeps that the police routinely do. And it's a shame that so much money is being spent on police to do these specific actions, whereas you could redirect that same money and give it directly to these affected people, and these people would be able to afford shelter and the other things that they require. But nope, in America, we would rather spend the money on policing than actually spend it to help people. So I just wanted to point out that action that continues right now in Minneapolis on the steps of the mayor's house. Love it.
No, I feel like they should put signs outside the tent that say something like "school shooter inside," and that will prevent the police from actually showing up and doing anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
They'll stand around and protect it in a sense. But I mean, I was in Oakland maybe like a year ago, and it was my first time there in a very long time, and it is basically tent city. Like San Francisco is a part of this too, but there's just certain places in Oakland where it's basically because another city that's being gentrified, but the haves and the have-nots. And today the have-nots is basically, it's not even low income in terms of like you're in a bad apartment, because the bad apartment rents are so high you can't even afford that. People are literally in these tents, and then they have these weird solutions of which I'm not a fan of. It's like the tiny house movement or whatever. Yeah. I'm not a fan of that. You're not going to stick somebody in basically a closet and suggest that you found housing for them or this is the wave of the future. But a lot of times, particularly in these California residencies, they build these tiny houses in the back of a big house, and then that's where your household help is going to go. So they continue. This is the crush of what's happening under this capitalist system is that folks are being pushed so far down that this is normal. And again, like you said, instead of diverting resources to do the obvious thing, to do the good thing, they just shove them around and move them in. Once they lose those papers, as you related, they can't get inside shelter because they want your driver's license, they want your birth certificate, they want your social security card. And what are you going to say? Well, the cops just threw that all away. So now I got to go back to all these other agencies, get all of those documents back again, if they even let me in the room, because like they're scared of me, or they're thinking I'm having some psychological breakdown, or I'm only here because another agency of the city has thrown all my shit away, right? So it's just a crazy situation.
And can I just want to remind again why liberalism is not the answer to this or any other problem. But as I pull this up, because I was a real live participant in Hands Across America.
I'm sorry.
Exactly. No, you have the appropriate reaction.
Man, that was the white version. That was the unseasoned version of We Are the World. We Are the World was spicy.
We literally held hands for 15 minutes, forming a continuous line across the United States that was supposed to fight hunger and homelessness and poverty in the United States. And look how well we've done. So I'm just saying, we got to do better. So the next time somebody says whatever the 2023 equivalent of Hands Across America is going to be, we got to say no. Just say no.
You notice that there's none of that now. I mean, not to say that it was great when it was happening in the 80s, right? But I mean that there's literally no pretense of community solidarity to address a societal ill. Like, nope, hunger Africa, that's their problem. Niggas is homeless, tough shit. You know what I'm saying? Get a job, Grouch. You
Start a business.
That's it.
Invest in crypto.
Right. like the pretense of everybody coming together in the community, at least, mainstream America, gone. That's a wrap. That's over.
Yeah, you're right. Why don't they get some clippers and some nail polish and start some salons and barbershops for the houseless? Like, that's a good way to start circulating the dollars of the homeless to get their money up. Like, why don't they just do that? I don't understand. You're right. We don't even need a Hands Across America. Just earn your leisure, poor people. Assets over liabilities. You ain't see their sweatshirt? You ain't hear Steve Harvey?
Yuck. Don't say that. Somebody put assets over liabilities on a shirt, Jared.
Oh, yeah, no, it's part of their branding. Earn Your Leisure's branding. It's a whole sweatshirt and t-shirt marketing campaign. Assets over liabilities. It's a mindset, Kim. It's a mindset.
It's a white mindset. that sounds like big white folks energy. That sounds like some shit that I would see walking around a Ivy League university campus. Assets over liabilities. What?
You know what? But it's true. Like Kanye got a lot of grief for saying slavery was a choice, but people get away with saying poverty is a choice every day. Like, nobody has a problem with that part. Like, slavery maybe is a step too far, but poverty, no, you could do you. That's on you.
Nothing holding you back. Yeah. There's nothing holding you back. Yeah,
nothing holding you back.
Nothing
it's
in
a
your
choice.
way. Yeah. No, you're right. Except if you live in Cuba or whoever the designated enemy of the United States is at the time.
Venezuela.
And then the only reason you're poor is because of the system that they have. That's the only time there's an analysis of a greater either economic or political or social structure is when it's an enemy of the United States. And then you get these same talking heads giving you breakdown, and whether or not they're true or not, but just giving you breakdown after breakdown of the instability of a particular kind of system, the bribery that may take place in a particular kind of system, the way resources are spent. You get social breakdown after breakdown of top level of government and society. But when it comes to here, it's never about the systems in place. It's always about you as an individual and how you just are not cutting it. You just are not cutting it. So you are just poor because you're dumb, ignorant, and you're not trying. That's why you're poor in America. Any place else, you're poor because of social system. And if they only switched over to capitalism, of course, the new day would come in.
But Kamal, and this one's for you because I watched for something else for the Deruba discussion the other day. I sat through and watched Deion Sanders on Earn Your Leisure, his extended interview. It's also, Kamal, that that God is calling us collect, and we aren't accepting the charges as Deion did. So that's the other thing. We're not putting our assets over liabilities, and God is calling us. He's calling all of us collect. And we're hearing you have a call from God on the other line, and we're saying no. So
I don't know if I appreciate you watching this shit, Jared, or if I'm looking at you different because you watch this shit. Like, I don't know. Like, I appreciate you coming to tell me whatever the Earn Your Leisure is and whatever they talk about, because I assure you I will not go look on my own. But I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. You're not looking. Yeah, you're not looking on your own. And Jared may be looking for analysis or to dig deeper, but literally millions of people, that's where they get their social commentary from. That's where they get their propaganda and politicalization from, is hearing people like Deion Sanders get on and say things like that. And they too go like, it's my fault. I'm not listening to God. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. It's all my fault, right? And so and obviously because it plays well, we all think we got to take some personal responsibility to survive, to strive, to make sure we can support ourselves. And so it digs into that well of like what you got to do to take care of yourself, but makes you feel like a failure, right? If you don't in this system get to a certain level, and then you're just mad at everybody else because they made it. You're mad at this other one because they did it, right? How dare you? So.
But let's look at the numbers. Nobody wants to look at the numbers. Like, I feel like Black people, I mean, I can only speak for Black people, but I feel like Black folks, we do this to each other. Like, we're like, oh man, so-and-so got this car, they got this degree, they live here. Like, how come? But like, we don't deep how few Black people are actually in whatever income range that we, you know, the aspirational Blacks hope to be. Like, there's so few, you know what I'm saying? The majority of Black people are living paycheck to paycheck. So why would an asshole like Deion Sanders and Earn Your Leisure, whoever the fuck they are, come and try to make people feel bad? You know what I'm saying? Like, you are
a lot of money
downing your own folks for a social condition that they did not create, and they can do very little about to change. Like, I hate bougie niggas so bad. I really do.
You're right about, first of all, I watch as much as I can, only because I feel like in certain instances I have to. And it is very difficult. I mean, I literally struggle with it. Like I have to get mentally prepared. I have to be in a certain mindset. I mean, it's a struggle, and I don't do it often. But I do it because they produce a lot of the inertia that comes into my classroom for me, for starters, and does create. And I know we're gonna get to go. We got our special mix coming up. That thank you remixers you've all earned for us this morning. But I'll say this, that Kim, to your last point, people may see the lived experience being very different, but because of all of this messaging, they assume that there are many more on the other side of that media wall that are doing well. So they're constantly telling me that Black people are doing better than they are. So I'm suffering in my hood, but I know that on that other horizon, Black people are chilling, and I'm trying to get over there. And Dr. Ball, you and others who are interrupting us with all this data and all this other stuff, you're messing up the program. That's, you know, and I feel better literally because of the dopamine and whatever else gets released when we hear these messages from Deion and all that, you know, whatever else. And they're getting slicker with the president. Anyway, so that's really what it is. So I think that's why I appreciate what we're doing at BPM, trying to offer up some sort of collective response to all of that, to say there is no beyond that horizon. What's beyond that horizon is the struggle you need to join. But other than that, anyway, we earned it. You all earned it. So thank you all very much. Ear Doctor, what's up?
Yo, you never guess what I found.
Uh-oh, what'd you find? Cut it out.
And the speed.
Yo, big up to Mr. Hands Across America, Jared. Yo,
put that up there again, man. Let me see that.
Yo, he had his MO.
I had the shirt on and everything.
United we stand, divided we fall.
You fell so
Make
hard.
this stuff up, man. Big up, Jared. Actually, I can. But yo, let's get to a quick mix.
People.
No doubt. And make sure y'all check out Riot Started TV tonight at 7. They got Professor Griff coming on. So we got some hot stuff coming for y'all. And and November 18th, the Ear Doctor live birthday.
Ooh.
Be ready. Yes. It's gonna be a party live. So with that said,
I got my Pharaoh tracks lined up.
Oh shit!
You already know it.
Hey, Friday we talking more about Kevin Johnson. So come back for that too. We're refocusing on the Kevin Johnson case Friday morning. So I'll see you all then too.
No doubt.
I didn't mean to. I was gonna ride out on that.
Relax while I tax, or you can just max. It really doesn't matter, just stay the hell back. Popping much junk, now the time has arisen. I pick your card and your name has been chosen. Not all about the mopping or the stick-up scene. You know what I mean? I'm the PMD in the place to be. Rock rhyming and locking around the tick-tocking. Sucker steady clocking at the same time jocking. So a brother like MD takes a chill and lay low. Hypnotize your girl while the phone's low.
Big up everybody.
Like a rebel in 85. Cops tried to catch me, cause all of them said I beat up these other men who were bigger than me. Was it cause I'm black and they were WHITE? Here I was walking down the block. I seen these stupid bikers standing by the biker shop. They seen it was me, so to make yourself feel bigger. One got bad, bull pointed and called me a nigga.
Here comes the order from a cosmic storm. Father of the night and growing seed at the dawn. Born from chaos to put it in sync. As I hatch from the root of swamp, purple, black, or pink. I kick you with the chosen, and those to be chose will make the little funk noses and the baby afros. And if I don't lift to raise them up, I have some worthy family who fully measures up to the cut. Teach them how to pimp, strut, and all that. Fully wear the armor and a crown, not a hat.
Party people's in the place to be. Just for you, it's the Ultra Magnetic MC.
That's what it is. That's what it is right here on the Remix Morning Show. We catch y'all in the morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Remix Morning Show, and we are out, baby.